And with that, we get back into the intense game between the Ubers and Bastard Munchen. Up to this point, Isagi has carefully studied Baru's movements and found the perfect place where he can intercept. He goes up, and as he thought, he easily gets the ball. But just then, Baru commands the players to get Isagi. Sendo, alongside two no-names, goes for Isagi's neck. Isagi is caught off guard, saying that a high press happened the second he managed to steal the ball. However, it doesn't stop there, as it's a multi-coordinate press as well. Sharkboy tries to help, but is of no use, as Isagi has no time to use metavision. And just then, Nico comes in and sweeps the ball away, telling Isagi that he fell for their trap. As Nico is running away, Isagi is left behind, thinking about what just happened. Was the whole sequence just a part of their plan? Attack slowly through low-risk strategies, and if the opponent manages to steal the ball away, steal it back right away with a fast, coordinated high press. And after regaining possession, take full advantage of the short counter. Finally, he says that it's like all of those 11 players are one huge organism. And to end it off, we see Snuffy with his big-ass nose, telling Ubers to advance. And they do just that as they are coming in full force against Bastard Munchen's defense. The Ubers are passing the ball between each other so much that Gagamaru has no idea who it will be that takes the final shot. But in the end, the ball falls to Baru. Gagamaru is sure that he will shoot, and Yukimiya even comes to back him up. But to their surprise, Baru actually passes to Nico, who then makes a switch with Sendao. But suddenly, the ball falls into the midst of it all, and Gagamaru can't see anything that is going on, making him clueless as to who has the ball. But then suddenly he sees the ball going at the goal. But you know how Blue Lock likes to do it, so we jump straight into a flashback before we are able to see what actually happens. As Snuffy was having his speech about football being a job, Baru suddenly walks away and calls it a weak philosophy, saying that he didn't come here to play a weak-willed brand of football. Even as Baru is leaving, Snuffy just says that he's interesting. After that, we get into the training field where Baru is training his shooting skills. As he's training, Snuffy comes by and tells Baru that his physical specs are top-notch, saying that Baru is the most suited striker in the Ubers. And therefore Snuffy asks him to, even if he's faking it, just try his football philosophy. However, Baru is getting second-hand embarrassment from Snuffy. Baru tells him that he refuses, and that football isn't a job for him, but a way for him to become a king. After that, he's going to conquer the world his way, and that's why if Snuffy wants to utilize him, he has to adjust to Baru's philosophy, which I'm not even sure if he's got one. Snuffy just starts to laugh before quickly taking the ball from Baru, which shocks him. As Baru is trying to take the ball back, Snuffy tells him that before he was a footballer, he was just a person, and if you can't understand the difference, then he's just an amateur after all. Snuffy just keeps on embarrassing Baru as he shouts about becoming the world's #1 striker. Then Snuffy throws in a curveball and says that there was a time when he was just like Baru, getting by life solely off his talent, and alongside him, he had his best friend. Together, they took full advantage of the wealth and luxuries that come with becoming a superstar player. They fully believed that they were going to be kings of the football world, but they fucked up. They skipped training and their skills diminished, suffered injuries due to overwork, and then lost their place in the starting 11 followed by several scandals. However, when a man falls, it only takes an instant. Baru screams and asks what some loser's story has to do with him. Snuffy tells Baru that finally his spirit shattered and his best friend killed himself. This finally makes Baru shut up, as Snuffy asks him if he will be able to love himself when he's no longer viewed as a genius. Snuffy tells Baru to value his life, and once again asks him to work together to succeed as Uber's next king. However, even then Baru refuses, saying that he isn't like Snuffy's friend who killed himself, and that he doesn't want a crown that's been handed down to him. As he leaves, he sees the whole Uber squad listening in from outside. Aiku is shocked at Baru refusing Snuffy's golden opportunity, while Baru is shocked at how they can believe Snuffy's crap. Baru then goes into his meditation room, where he puts on a relaxing forest. However, it quickly gets changed to a movie by Lorenzo, who comes in with a bag of popcorn. Lorenzo tells Baru that Snuffy has taken an interest in him. Even so, Baru isn't concerned by it, and is more concerned by Lorenzo spilling popcorn on the floor. Lorenzo says that Snuffy wins trophies for every team he plays for, and that's how he gained the name as the Crown Messenger. However, that's not the real reason why he plays football. The reason why is that he aims to win in all the Big 5 leagues, to then achieve the dream he once shared with his best friend. And the series he's left is the Italy League with the Ubers. When he's managed to win a trophy with the Ubers, he will move on to becoming a coach, and that's why he's looking for a striker to succeed him. Baru is still not interested in their offer, so Lorenzo tries a different approach, which is to show off his golden teeth while having a proud look on his face. Lorenzo tells Baru that he used to live in a shithole when he was little, and after his parents abandoned him, he survived on the streets by swindling people out of their money. He was on the verge of dying, but that's when Snuffy came forward to him and asked him to play football with him. Lorenzo didn't believe him, so he challenged Snuffy to give him golden teeth, which Snuffy did immediately. Baru is quickly getting bored and asks Lorenzo what his point with all of this is. And Lorenzo tells Baru that his point is that Snuffy isn't the type of guy who would abandon the less fortunate, and that he's crazy enough to give them a future. After that, Snuffy enters the room and tells them that it's time for training, and Lorenzo for some reason quickly turns into a dog. As they are leaving, Baru tells them to wait, and that he will work with Snuffy, not as his successor, but that he will become a striker that surpasses him, telling Snuffy that his job is to help Baru become the king of the football world, which was a deal Snuffy couldn't refuse. He tells Baru that from now on, the Ubers will act as his arms and legs, and that their strategies will only be centered around him. That's why Baru's job will be to refine and evolve his ability as a goal hunter, especially his 1v1s against the goalkeeper, starting with his mid-range curve shot from 28 meters, which are already top-notch. However, that shot is easy to stop if one can figure out its timing and motion, and that it definitely won't work against a world-class goalkeeper. After that, we get back into the game, where Baru is moving swiftly around on the field. The players have now managed to block Gagamaru's view, which gets them a spilled second blind spot. However, by the time he realizes it, it will already be too late, as Baru has already managed to get away a shot against him, which flawlessly goes in and makes the scores 1-1. And let us just take a moment to appreciate how cool this panel looks, with both Sendu and Nico coming to celebrate with Baru. Baru looks with an intense look at Isagi and asks him what's wrong, and wonders if that's all Isagi's got. On the other hand, we have Isagi over here who's totally mind-blown by Baru's goal, saying that the Ubers came up with a game plan designed to crush him, and as soon as they got the ball, they went on a furious counter. They didn't even leave a chance for Isagi to stop them, as they managed to execute their plan perfectly. However, it's more than that, as they were in perfect sync, which isn't something that can be taught easily, and on top of that, the timing to know when to execute their plan, saying that it's impossible to pull this off without some hardcore training, as he finally understands that this is the backbone of the Uber's strength. But even with all that, it still doesn't fully explain Baru's shot, which Gagamaru didn't even have time to react to. But that means that they somehow threw off his timing, and if that's the case, then that means that Baru didn't shoot when he wanted to, and that he patiently waited for the exact moment they threw off Gagamaru's timing, and because of that, he was able to utilize his vision. And of course, with Baru's shooting ability, if he manages to throw off the goalkeeper's timing, it opens up a chance to mass produce a goal at an efficient rate. And with that, Isagi realizes that Baru has managed to achieve a whole new set of eyes, which he calls the Predator Eyes. After that, we get to Ness looking at both Isagi and Baru, while being angry at himself that he hasn't managed to do anything this whole game. However, that's when Kaiser goes forward to him and tells him to stop with his miserable look, as he tells Ness that their true target is Lorenzo, and that if they manage to defeat Lorenzo, then they will win, and Ness gladly take up on that challenge. After that, we get to the superior duo, where Corona is asking Isagi how many more strategies he thinks that Ubers have under their sleeve. However, even Isagi has no idea, but he knows that to win this game, they have to stick to Noah's plan and focus on winning their 1v1 duels. And with that, the game starts again. Ness and Kaiser are passing around as always. Ness says that the two of them can dominate the defensive and middle third, however it's on the attacking third where it gets tricky. Even so, Ness will do everything in his power to help Kaiser score. But just then, Lorenzo goes to cover them. Even so, Kaiser says that they are fine, as it's a 2v1. So Kaiser passes Ness and sprints behind Lorenzo, awaiting a pass from Ness, which he gets, however someone else reaches it first. And that one is the stylish master himself, Ryu, who jumps up and heads away the ball. The ball is heading back to Ness and Lorenzo, but someone else interferes. It's Isagi who tells Lorenzo that he wasn't good enough. Isagi was able to see everything that played out perfectly. He says that in the full of this game's chaotic flow, he's able to take control of the 1v1 situations, and ends it by saying that his metavision has gotten better. Even so, his happiness quickly comes to a stop as Nico comes out of nowhere and kicks away the ball from Isagi. Isagi falls to the ground and says that he's amazed that Nico was able to stop him. After that, Nico tells him that it's to be expected that as his vision and football IQ are all top-notch. However, the same goes for Nico, as he calls them two birds of a feather, which I can't figure out if it sounds cool or just corny. Anyway, that's where it clicks for Isagi, as he thinks that Nico also has acquired metavision. However, when Isagi confronts Nico about it and asks him if he uses metavision, Nico is suddenly confused and asks what metavision is. Isagi explains that metavision is a specific way to use their vision, which lets them capture everything that's happening around them with their peripheral vision, which then lets you simultaneously process and analyze everyone's movements on the field. Nico gets the hang of it, but tells Isagi that all he did was track the ball while keeping an eye on his movements, and since he saw Isagi and the ball in a dangerous spot, he dashed forward, even though it meant going against their game plan. Isagi is shocked, thinking that Nico subconsciously used metavision, and that his brain and vision are gonna evolve to a whole new level. After that, Aiku comes by complimenting Nico's play. However, Isagi's teammate isn't as happy with him as Aiku is with Nico, as Reichi comes and shouts at Isagi for losing the ball. After that, Isagi tries to figure out how many of the players here can use metavision. He concludes that Kaiser, Nico, himself, and maybe Lorenzo are the only ones able to use it, as Baru has a different kind of vision. Isagi then quickly becomes Professor Isagi, as he tries to explain the different visions, starting with metavision. Metavision grasps the overall flow of the game, and all the information that's circling within it. Since he can use it everywhere on the field, he pretty much has the ability to predict the future. On the other hand, Baru's Predator Eye is focused on the 1v1 duel with the goalkeeper for the sole purpose of scoring a goal. Even though they're both strikers, depending on how they use their eyes and vision, the information that they pick up, analyze, and act on is completely different. And with that, he begins inputting all of his new information to probably use it in the future. But before he's done, Raichi and Yukimiya scream at him to stop spacing out, and that the game is about to restart. However, Isagi is like fuck that, and thinks some more before starting, as he says that on top of all that he went through before, both of their teams have two totally different philosophies and playstyles. Ubers plays like one huge organism, with their unity, discipline, and coordination, while Bastard Munson plays like a chaotic fluid, multi-faced organisms, which is being spearheaded by him and Kaiser. Everyone on the field understands this, and that's why they are probably thinking about their next move, and what's risky, and how they can make an impact. Finally realizing that this is how it feels to be playing in a world-class football game. However, that also means that the next play and the next goal will definitely be the turning point, and that the player who manages to tilt this situation in their favor will undoubtedly dominate this game as its game changer. While Kaiser is waiting for the game to start, he's thinking that Lorenzo is too much in the way, even saying that he's gotten stronger since the last time he faced him. Because of Lorenzo, Kaiser can't move freely the way he wants to, and right now, it's obvious that Isagi has a much easier time moving around. While he's thinking, Ness quickly comes running, asking Kaiser what they are supposed to do, but Kaiser just tells him to shut up, telling him to move as they have practiced, and to believe in Kaiser, because for him, nothing is impossible. And with that, Grim finally throws in the free throw, and the ball is going to Ness's legs. However, right then, Kunigami comes in his way and pushes him aside, telling them to not forget about the Dark Horse. Kunigami is running at full speed against the Ubers players, even styling on someone which honestly looks so clean. Isagi is looking from the side, and says that Kunigami is planning on going solo. However, that's impossible with Kunigami's specs, and even if Isagi went in to help, he wouldn't pass him. Isagi has no choice but to try and steal the ball in the penalty area, and says that he can see clearly what he needs to do, but Nico is able to do the same thing, which makes it troublesome. Nico is focused on always having his eyes on Isagi, and says that this new metavision is amazing. Instead of solely focusing on the ball, and instead seeing over the entire field and catching every piece of information circulating within it, Nico notices that Isagi is aiming for the same spot as he is, and it ends up with the three of them going for the same spot. As they are going to the ball, Nico says that it's a 50-50 chance for him. However, the percentage quickly turns to 0 as Reichi comes in his way and stops him. This gives Isagi the chance to sweep in and steal the ball. As he's running, he states that Nico's meta vision is still incomplete, saying that he was too focused on predicting the future that he diverted most of his attention on tracking him and the ball, which made him fail to realize that Reichi has positioned himself behind him and was waiting to ambush him. Isagi gets away from them and sees that there are only 2 defenders standing in his way, and he gets over the first one with the help of Corona. However, out of nowhere comes Aiku. Isagi goes into his lefty shot position and is ready to fire off an outstanding shot when Aiku sees through his bluff and tells Isagi that his lefty shot isn't 100% complete yet and destroys his chance. Isagi says that he failed and that he couldn't score after all. Right when he is at the brink of defeat, Yukimiya comes screaming his name and tells him to pass him, kind of giving us a flashback to the Manshine City match. Both Aiku and Isagi are stunned. Isagi says that Yukimiya managed to fill in the space on the right which Kunigami left, complimenting his position and calling him a godsend. However, Isagi is still stubborn and says that he can still shoot. but he quickly starts to think more thoroughly. He thinks that if he were to lose the ball here, then they would get hit by a counter by the Ubers. And with that in mind, he has no other choice than to pass, as it's the more rational option. Isagi sends an amazing pass, but as the ball is flying to Yukimiya, someone comes before him. It's the legendary defender Lorenzo, who says that he will be taking this pass. This really shows just how amazing Lorenzo really is. He was able to foresee what Isagi would do, and then went to stop him. Even so, his greed made him oblivious, as Kaiser comes before him and says that he finally took his eyes off his price. Kaiser also says that he's been waiting for this moment. Isagi is amazed, and all of his thoughts start to lose grip as they fall out. Isagi says that Kaiser got him, saying that Kaiser managed to outread his entire thought process to then use him to get Lorenzo off him. Kaiser was able to see everything, and if that wasn't enough, then everybody out on the field got metadated. And can we just take 1 second to appreciate how cool that sounds? I can't wait till someone says that expression to Isagi. However, it still isn't just a free road for Kaiser, as Sendo comes to stop him, saying that in these situations, it's his job to press. Even so, Kaiser turns into a cat and jumps over Sendo's leg. But Sendo's attack wasn't in vain, as he bought Aiku and Ryu some time to come and cut off his shooting angle. Ryu comes from behind and flips Kaiser upside down, and Ness once again shows his real identity as a dirty dog, as he's right away starting to complain and asks for a penalty. However, as Kaiser is in the sky, he tells them to eat shit and calls them losers before doing a Kaiser impact mid-air. Kaiser's shot bounces under Aiku and goes into the goal, giving Bastard Munchin a 1-goal lead. Kaiser's goals are one of the most mind-blowing goals I've ever seen. It's definitely a top 3 for me. But please tell me what you thought about it in the comments. It kinda looks like Yukimiya's goal, but on steroids.